You look a lot like Michael Jackson. I'm sure you get that all the time.
We're here with B. Howard at the 2015 American Music Awards. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you also.
Whether it was through his music, his behavior, or the countless rumors surrounding his true heritage, B. Howard always found himself in the spotlight. Despite all the speculation, nothing could have prepared him for the truth, one that had been hidden from him his entire life. From artists like Genuine and Drew Hill to Amaran, Jason Derulo, Neo, and Vanessa, the industry buzzed with connections and whispers. But the revelation he eventually uncovered didn't just shake him, it broke everything he believed. And when it came out, it wasn't just surprising, it was devastating. So, what did B. Howard find out? And what made him turn his back on the Jacksons, his family, and even the identity he had always known? Let's explore. For years, B. Howard has been associated with one of the most iconic families in entertainment, the Jacksons. Theories about his lineage, his undeniable resemblance to Michael Jackson, and his musical gifts have sparked widespread discussion among fans and media. But who is B. Howard really, and why do so many believe he is the hidden son of the King of Pop? To get a complete understanding, we need to look at his background, his ties to the Jackson family, and how the public reacted to the ongoing rumors. Born Brandon Alexander Howard in 1981, he was raised in a world surrounded by music. His mother, Mickey Howard, was a renowned R&B singer in the 1980s with hits like Love Under New Management and Ain't Nobody Like You. With her influence in the industry, Brandon was constantly around legendary artists, including the Jacksons. Growing up, it was evident that Brandon had inherited a passion for music. He developed his skills as a singer, songwriter, and producer. Influenced by R&B, pop, and funk, genres that defined Michael Jackson's legacy, he pursued a music career, eventually collaborating with stars like Neo, Akon, and Chris Brown. His smooth vocals and songwriting ability naturally drew comparisons to Michael, fueling even more curiosity about his roots. Aside from his mother's success, Brandon's proximity to the Jackson family added more layers to the speculation. At one time, Mickey Howard was managed by Joe Jackson, the head of the Jackson dynasty. Some even claimed that Mickey was known as Billie in the 1980s, leading to theories that she inspired Michael's song Billie Jean, which tells of a woman who says Michael fathered her child. Though there's no solid proof linking Mickey to the song, the theory captured the public's imagination and intensified questions about Brandon's parentage. What kept these stories alive was B. Howard's uncanny resemblance to Michael Jackson. From his facial features to his curly hair and slender frame, many fans found the similarities too strong to ignore. His voice and music also bore an eerie likeness to Michael's, which some thought was more than coincidence. Beyond physical traits, Brandon's career followed a similar path to Michael's. He worked with many of the same producers and often channeled Michael's signature sound in his own music. Some believed this was mere admiration, but others saw it as more evidence of a genetic connection. His ongoing association with various Jackson family members also gave weight to the claims. Some reports suggested that certain relatives quietly accepted him as family, though nothing was ever made official. Michael Jackson himself never publicly addressed the rumors. To many, the silence from the Jackson estate seemed like an attempt to avoid controversy or legal trouble. The subject gained even more attention with the rise of internet forums and social media. One rumor that gained traction was that Joe Jackson acknowledged Brandon as his grandson. Though Joe made plenty of provocative comments over the years, no formal statement ever confirmed this claim. Still, the idea that Joe believed Brandon to be his grandson made the story even more fascinating. Despite the mounting speculation, Brandon remained publicly neutral. He never firmly claimed to be Michael's son, nor did he fully deny it. In interviews, he stayed focused on his music, recognizing the comparisons while choosing not to dwell on the controversy. His unwillingness to give a clear answer only deepened the mystery. And while Brandon tried to build his own career, the constant buzz about his possible connection to Michael Jackson often overshadowed his accomplishments. But this is where things start to get even more intriguing. In March 2014, reports emerged claiming that a DNA test had been conducted to determine if Brandon was the son of Michael Jackson. Allegedly, the test revealed a shocking 99.9% match, suggesting with near certainty that Brandon was Michael's biological child. This sensational claim quickly spread across the internet and mainstream media, fueling long-standing speculation among fans and tabloids alike. For many, it seemed like long-awaited confirmation. The DNA sample was reportedly obtained from one of Michael's dental imprints, though the authenticity of the sample was never verified. A video released by the gossip website filmon.com featured entrepreneur Alki David, the site's owner, presenting what he claimed was official documentation proving a genetic match between Michael Jackson and Brandon. David asserted that the test was legitimate and insisted the truth had finally come to light. However, not long after the story broke, discrepancies started to surface. Key questions arose: who authorized the test? Where was the DNA sample sourced? And why was the information being presented in such a sensational manner? These concerns quickly cast doubt on the entire story. As the DNA claims went viral, skepticism mounted. Investigations by credible media outlets soon uncovered major inconsistencies. One of the most damning revelations came when the lab allegedly responsible for the DNA test, DNA Diagnostic Center, publicly denied any involvement. They stated they had no records of ever testing Michael Jackson's DNA, let alone comparing it with Brandon's. This completely undermined the credibility of the reported results. Further investigation revealed that the entire episode had been orchestrated by Alki David and Filmon.com, a company with a known history of spreading controversial and attention-grabbing stories. David had even teased the announcement days in advance, marketing it as a groundbreaking revelation. Many came to believe the stunt was more about generating publicity than discovering the truth. Amid the growing controversy, Brandon was forced to respond. Instead of supporting the claim, he distanced himself from the DNA test and denied any involvement in its organization. In a public statement, he clarified that he had never released or confirmed the results and urged people not to jump to conclusions. His response raised more questions: if Brandon didn't authorize the test, who did, and why was his name linked to such a dubious claim? Despite his attempt to stay neutral, Brandon found himself in a difficult position. He neither confirmed nor denied the possibility that he was Michael's son, leaving the public guessing. Yet, the debunking of the DNA test severely damaged the claim's credibility and, in turn, Brandon's reputation. Prior to the incident, the Jackson family had largely remained silent about Brandon. But the sudden media frenzy forced some members to speak out. Their reactions varied: some dismissed the story outright, while others avoided the topic altogether. For example, Taj Jackson, Michael's nephew, labeled the DNA test an absolute scam and condemned the media for promoting false information. Jermaine Jackson, Michael's brother, called the claim bogus and accused those involved of trying to exploit Michael's legacy. Other family members chose to remain silent, refusing to acknowledge the controversy publicly. The Jackson estate, which manages Michael's assets and personal legacy, had a history of swiftly debunking false claims. Yet in this case, they took no legal action against either Brandon or Filmon.com, which led many to speculate that they saw the claim as no real threat. In the aftermath of the DNA controversy, theories began to swirl about its true purpose. Some believed Alki David staged the stunt simply to gain attention for Filmon.com. Others suspected that someone within the Jackson circle or the broader music industry wanted to discredit Brandon or gain an upper hand in ongoing estate disputes. Some even suggested that the estate wanted to keep Brandon at arm's length. Whether Brandon was genuinely related to Michael or not, being officially recognized as his son could have major financial implications. It could potentially affect estate distributions and disrupt the tightly controlled legacy of the King of Pop. Some fans, citing past legal battles over Michael's assets, argued that the estate had strong incentives to prevent new heirs from emerging. On the flip side, others believed the DNA test had been deliberately discredited or the truth hidden to protect the Jackson family's interests. They pointed out Brandon's striking resemblance to Michael and claimed the entertainment industry had a vested interest in keeping the matter unresolved. What began as a possible breakthrough in solving a long-standing mystery ultimately spiraled into a media circus, one that left more confusion than clarity. Many had hoped that the DNA test would bring clarity, but it was ultimately exposed as unreliable and possibly fraudulent. Although Brandon tried to separate himself from the scandal, his name became permanently linked to the controversy. However, the DNA test was only the beginning. As the truth came to light, it revealed deeper issues within the Jackson legacy, issues that may have influenced Brandon's eventual choice to step away. His departure wasn't just about personal controversy, it was also tied to the darker realities of legacy and the entertainment industry. Brandon's connection to Michael Jackson wasn't solely about paternity rumors. It was also about being associated with one of the most intricate and debated legacies in show business. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, was a musical pioneer, a worldwide icon, and one of the most scrutinized figures in celebrity history. His career brought enormous success, but it was also marked by legal troubles, public scandals, and family drama that continued long after his death. These ongoing controversies, along with internal tensions within the Jackson family, may have significantly impacted Brandon's decision to step away from the spotlight. To this day, Michael Jackson's career remains unparalleled in the music world. From his early days with the Jackson 5 to his record-breaking solo achievements, he reshaped music and performance standards and influenced generations of artists. His 1982 album Thriller remains the best-selling album in history, with over 70 million copies sold globally. His innovative music videos, especially Thriller, set new standards in production and creativity. His dance moves, most famously the moonwalk first showcased during a 1983 performance of Billie Jean on Motown 25, became iconic and continue to inspire performers today. Yet, with immense fame came intense scrutiny. While Michael was praised for his artistry, his private life became a frequent target of media speculation. His evolving appearance, eccentric behaviors, and reclusive nature often grabbed headlines more than his music did. His vitiligo diagnosis, which he confirmed in a 1993 interview with Oprah Winfrey, was often dismissed by sensationalist media in favor of conspiracy theories about his changing skin tone. In 1988, he purchased the Neverland Ranch, a sprawling 2,700-acre estate in Santa Barbara County, California, creating a private retreat complete with a zoo, amusement park, and lush gardens. While it offered him refuge, it also heightened public intrigue and added to perceptions of his eccentricity. Throughout his career, Michael faced numerous legal challenges and damaging allegations, including financial lawsuits and serious criminal accusations. The most impactful were allegations of SA, first emerging in 1993 and again in the 2000s. The 1993 case ended in an out-of-court settlement reportedly worth $23 million, with Michael maintaining his innocence. In 2005, following allegations featured in the documentary Living with Michael Jackson, he stood trial on 14 criminal charges. The trial, which lasted from February to June, ended with Michael being acquitted of all counts. Despite his legal victory, relentless media scrutiny severely affected his reputation. Album sales fell, and his public image never fully recovered. After his death, disputes over the management of his estate further fueled controversy. Control of the estate was handed to executors John Branca and John McClain, who managed Michael's assets, business decisions, and music catalog. Their choices often clashed with the Jackson family's wishes, deepening internal divisions. At the time of his death in 2009, Michael Jackson was reportedly $500 million in debt. However, through strategic posthumous releases and smart business moves, the value of his estate grew significantly. In 2016, the estate sold Michael's 50% ownership in the Sony ATV music catalog, which included rights to most Beatles songs, for $750 million. This sale held great significance, as Jackson had originally purchased the catalog for $47.5 million in 1985, a move that reportedly strained his relationship with Paul McCartney. After Michael's passing, tensions within the family intensified. Disagreements over his will, control of his estate, and financial interests created deep divisions among his siblings and children. When Michael Jackson's will was made public, it revealed that control of his estate had been left to his children and a selected group of trustees, notably excluding most of his siblings. The will, dated July 7, 2002, established the Michael Jackson Family Trust. According to the document, 40% of his assets would go to his children, 40% to his mother Katherine Jackson, and 20% to various children's charities. Some family members contested the will's legitimacy, claiming Michael had been manipulated by the estate's executors. In July 2012, 5 of his siblings, Janet, Jermaine, Randy, Rebby, and Tito, signed a letter asserting the will was fraudulent and calling for the resignation of the executors. Tito later withdrew his support for the letter. Several members of the Jackson family voiced frustration about being excluded from Michael's fortune. Reports indicated that some attempted to challenge the estate's authority in court, but their legal efforts were unsuccessful. In a strange twist that same year, Katherine Jackson was briefly reported missing, only to be located staying with relatives in Arizona. This incident sparked a temporary guardianship battle over Michael's children. Eventually, T.J. Jackson, Tito's son, was appointed co-guardian alongside Katherine. The situation escalated tensions, dividing the family into those who supported the estate and those who believed they had been unjustly left out. These public disputes tarnished the family's image and complicated efforts to preserve Michael's artistic legacy. Brandon Howard's position in all of this remains unclear, but if he was truly connected to Michael, he would have been stepping into a world already plagued with infighting and hidden agendas. Being associated with the Jackson family came with immense pressure. Constant speculation, industry politics, and financial conflicts would have made it extremely difficult for Brandon to forge his own path in music without outside interference. Insiders in the music industry have noted that Brandon faced difficulties being taken seriously as an artist because of persistent rumors. Many within the industry viewed his alleged connection to Michael either as a publicity stunt or a liability. Now, Brandon found himself in the middle of a personal betrayal, but before diving into that, there's one more important figure to consider. To truly understand everything, we need to take a closer look at someone who played a major role in shaping Brandon's life, his mother. Miki Howard was a key piece of the puzzle. She rose to prominence as an R&B star in the late 80s and early 90s with hits like Love Under New Management and Ain't Nobody Like You. Her voice and style earned her comparisons to some of the most iconic vocalists of the era. Her ties to the Jackson family became a topic of speculation after it was revealed that Joe Jackson, the patriarch of the Jackson family, had once managed her career. This professional relationship raised questions about whether Miki had closer personal ties to the Jacksons than she had let on. Given Joe's reputation for being heavily involved in the careers of those he managed, some began to wonder if there was more to the story than just business. The biggest question surrounding her connection to Michael Jackson has long been whether they shared a romantic relationship. Numerous sources have claimed that Miki and Michael were close in the early 1980s, although no concrete evidence has ever confirmed they were romantically involved. Some theories suggest that certain members of the Jackson family privately acknowledged the relationship, though no official statements have ever been made. What makes this speculation even more intriguing is the timing. Brandon was born in 1981, around the same period when Miki was gaining traction in the industry and reportedly moving in the same circles as Michael. Despite the ongoing chatter, Miki has mostly kept silent on the matter. Unlike many public figures who engage with tabloid stories, she has neither confirmed nor denied the possibility that Michael was Brandon's father. Her silence has only fueled further speculation. Some interpret it as a protective move to shield her son from public scrutiny. Others argue that if the rumors were true, she would have come forward with the truth. Instead, she has chosen to let Brandon speak for himself, allowing him to take charge of his own narrative regarding his paternity. With all this background, one question still lingers: what was the final breaking point for Brandon? What was the painful truth that made him cut ties? As previously mentioned, B. Howard severed all connections after a DNA test uncovered Michael Jackson's betrayal. You might be wondering, wasn't that DNA test done over a decade ago? Isn't this old news? The reality is far more complicated than it seems. According to insiders close to Brandon, he decided to take another DNA test, this time under the guidance of someone he trusted, one of Michael's former doctors. This wasn't done for publicity. It was a deeply personal quest for clarity. The doctor, having worked closely with Michael for years, agreed to help conduct the test under strict confidentiality. What Brandon didn't anticipate was the devastating truth that would come out of that meeting. The doctor, clearly uncomfortable, confessed that Michael had anticipated this moment. According to sources, Michael had discussed it privately and believed that staying out of Brandon's life was in everyone's best interest, even if it meant carrying a secret. But the revelations didn't stop there. The doctor reportedly showed Brandon documents indicating that the Jackson family had always known about his existence, including Joe Jackson, who had allegedly worked to keep the truth hidden. The most heartbreaking detail? Even his own mother had been part of the secrecy. The doctor claimed she had signed a confidentiality agreement before Brandon was born in order to protect her career. This betrayal shook Brandon to his core. He had grown up being told Michael Jackson was not his father, and that his mother didn't know who his father was. But behind closed doors, it was a well-known secret, kept from him and him alone. The weight of this lifelong deception was crushing. The final blow came when the doctor pulled out something unexpected from his desk, a credit card. He placed it in front of Brandon and explained, "A couple of months before his death, Michael gave me this and made me promise to give it to you if you ever came looking for answers." Alongside it was a note that read, "I'm sorry for everything, but it would be best that no one ever knows the truth." That moment changed everything. Brandon wasn't just hurt, he was disgusted. Even in death, Michael had tried to silence him. Everyone he had trusted had lied to him for decades. And now, he was done. The first person Brandon opened up to was a close friend. What he said was gut-wrenching. "He is my father biologically, but this is something I couldn't have imagined. How could someone do this to his own child? I don't want to have anything to do with him, my mother, or anyone who knew the truth all these years." And with that, Brandon severed all ties, to the Jacksons, to his past, and to the family that had never been honest with him. The search for the truth had finally given him the answers he longed for, but at the highest emotional cost. What would you do if you were in his position? Let us know in the comments.